One of the things I like to do is go to heritage farm shows. Part of it is because I grew up in a farm. Part of it is, well, I don't know. It's not something that I really thought I needed to justify. So, I like it because I like it. As I talk, I'm going to show you videos that I took from the Dan Patterson's Heritage Show in 2019, just outside of St. Thomas. These kind of events are basically an old man show. That is, who is really it appeals to. Even if the old man was not brought up in the farm, it is a simpler time, and the mechanics of the time is what catches their attention. Large machines have made our lives easier, but we have sometimes forgot how hard our parents and grandparents and great-grandparents had to work to get the same job done. The further you go back in time, the more manual everything becomes. It's also funny to think that our grandchildren will tell our children that they did it the hard way. But they will. 20 years from now, kids will ask, why would you drive when an autonomous car will take you wherever you want to go? Or, why would you go to the store to buy things when a 3D printer will create whatever you want? And for those things that you can't create, drones will deliver to your house for free in an hour. Do you remember life before cell phones? Do you remember life before the internet? Do you remember life before debit cards? A 20-year-old has never experienced any of that. Not that I want to go back. It's more like, I wish the younger generation understood what life was like before one had a computer. Oh my God, I begin to sound like my father. Futurists are speculating that in 100 years, replicators will be creating whatever you want, and those children would tell their parents, why did you go shopping instead of replicating whatever you wanted? Other than the last 100 years, it used to be that a child's life was not all that different from their parents. Major technology leaps used to be once every few decades, unlike our world today, which is several times a year. If you are earlier adopter, you are aware that some of the new technologies are coming out on the horizon that will revolutionize everything that we do again. But back to the story. As I'm reflecting on the day's events, I remember someone telling me that most groups, clubs, and events are getting fewer and fewer people to attend. The Dan Patterson show this year was a lot lighter than in previous years. In the last 15 years that I've been attending this event, I have seen a reduction of the participants and the patrons. Every year, they offer less and less. I do agree that the event organizers could do a better job in promoting these events, but you need to push a lot harder just to stay the same. In the end, it may be a lost cause. Like I said earlier, it's an old man's club, and the old men are dying off. That made me think, what do the younger generation want? I get that the younger generation can't relate to records, tapes, and life before the internet. What about things that they do now, that later in life they will seek out again in remembrance of their youth? As an example, my generation collected hockey cards, played arcade games, biked everywhere. Saturday morning cartoons and early computers all shaped my life. When I see these things somewhere, I have good memories of my life that has passed. I feel young and comfortable in the presence of these nostalgia items. I associate collecting hockey cards with what I did in school. I associate arcade games with the hour spent with friends at the arcade and all the quarters I spent. I remember watching cartoons all Saturday morning and look forward to it every week. But what do the kids today think about? I really don't know. I was never around enough of the kids to get a sense of what's on their mind. There must be something. So that got me wondering, if someone was born in the year 2000, they are 20 years old today. 30 years from now, they will be 50. And when they reflect back on their life, what will they pine for? Each of us has our own way to rekindle the past, whether it's listening to the music of your generation, or recollecting things you once did in your youth, or buying the sports card you wish you had when you were in your 20s. It didn't matter. There was a certain comfort in reclaiming your past. Whether it's the car, the hockey cards, or your old Barbie doll collection, we all have a way to hang on to good memories of our youth. But 30 years from now, what will a 50-year-old want to buy, collect, and reminisce about? I don't know. What shaped their lives, and what will they want to reclaim? The problem with reflecting over technology is that it moves so fast that there really isn't any attachment to the thing before it becomes out of date. Are the kids of the future really going to care about seeing the first cell phone, the first iPad? Not likely. It's much easier to look back in time and see people, places, and moments that defined a generation. My mom still talks about the old soda shops and dancing and Elvis and early rock and roll. Many of the early rock songs are considered classics. Are we going to look back at Tupac the same way we're going to look back at Frank Sinatra? The short answer is no. Today's music are throwaway tunes. There isn't the pining for the classic 90s songs as it were in previous generations. In my opinion, technology is what defines the current times, and there doesn't appear to be a centralized things in which people gather around. In fact, it looks more the other way around. Technology has allowed us to communicate while being far apart. We are connecting even though we are separated. I suppose we'll have to wait 30 years to see if the Millennium generation shows any interest in past reflections. But to then, I say goodbye, and may you have happy thoughts until next time. Written, read, and produced by Larry Jenkins.